So I live in Sweden. I'm
Yep.
British, but I live in Sweden, and I'm in the middle of a remote forest, like in a little clearing. If you imagine like the bullseye on a board, it's we don't really have any neighbors. We can hike for a full day and night in any direction. We're still in the same forest, so it's very quiet. We share it with a lot of moose.
That's so cool.
We like it.
Um,
You know what? We used to see them all the time. We used to have them like traipsing through our garden and like eating whatever we grow. We grow a lot of food and they like to eat it. But now we have a big Saint Bernard and they kind of stay away now. They can smell him and he can smell them, so they stay away.
what is your dog's name?
Bernie.
Of course.
Yeah, of course. He was named by my son when my son was like 5, so it was a natural name.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense to me. He is he is gorgeous. He's huge.
Yeah,
He's
he's
a
a big
big
boy.
dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like a pretty big short-haired Saint Bernard. He's a gentle giant.
So cute. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to talk to you. I still can't believe this is real life.
This is really fun for me. As I say, I'm in the middle of the woods. I'm deep into writing right now, so I'm not traveling. Normally, I'm traveling around the world every month, and this month I'm not. So it's nice to see a friendly face and have a chat about books.
Because you don't get to see a lot of people.
No, mainly animals and trees, really.
I mean, that's got to be great for your writing, though, right? Like less distraction.
It is. It's a nice, quiet life. I like the contrast of like flying off to an event and seeing loads of readers, and I love that. And then it's nice to come back and just read and write and have a very slow life again. It's I like the combination. Yeah.
Do you want to talk about what you're working on? Want to? We'll do questions in reverse
Yeah,
since
we
I
can do
know
that. So I'm working
there's
on
something coming in 2027. I know it.
so the book that comes out next year, I haven't really talked about it anyway yet.
You don't
It's
have to if you don't want to.
no, I will. I can say a little tiny teaser.
Okay.
So it's called The Light at the End of the World, and it's a speculative thriller, and it's set 60 years from now.
That sounds so fun.
It's a
Um,
fun book. I can't talk much more about it, but it's
no,
I
that's
can say
fair.
more soon, I think. Yeah.
Speculative thrillers are my jam. Speculative thriller coming 2027. I can't wait. I will, but I can't wait. What sticks out in my brain the most of your books is the chamber. Probably think about it once a week.
I'm sorry. I apologize for that.
It's fine. It has stuck with me forever, right? Um, and that is the book that I read right before Adrift. Two very different books. So I guess where do you get the inspiration for these? um, are you okay?
That's a good question. I've never been asked that question before. I think, as you say, like all of my books are different. They're very different. I don't want to write the same book again. I'm writing really for myself to try and go back into a place of being a child again with an overactive imagination. I was a really shy, awkward kid, and I was just like hanging out with my dog, didn't really understand humans, wanted to, obsessed with reading, grew up in a house with no books, just wanted to read and write. And that's still me now. So I really love storytelling, and I just don't really care if one book doesn't connect with the next book, doesn't like it's a nightmare for my publishers. My publishers are like, you there's no like through line here apart from maybe isolated settings and like family dynamics. That's the only thing really. um where do the ideas come from? I have a normally a visual in the middle of the night as I'm falling asleep. I'll see a situation. So in the chamber I saw this saturation diving chamber. I didn't know anything about diving, and I just saw this little tiny window, this porthole window, and I looked through and I saw there were 5 guys and 1 woman divers, and they were sitting there, and I just knew that they were in peril, they were in jeopardy, and they couldn't open the hatch, and one of them wasn't telling the truth. So it was like the ultimate locked room situation. I just wanted to know what on earth is going on. And with Adrift, it was similar. I was falling asleep, and in my mind's eye, I saw this long houseboat. And at one end was a man who was like almost naked, sweating by a fireplace, typing out his novel. and I knew he was wickedness, and he was taking himself very seriously. And then in the middle of the boat was this boy who I could tell instantly was like being bullied and having a hard life. And then on the other end, there was Peggy, the wife. And it was just like they all are just trying to survive in their own ways. And I wanted to know, I wanted to get Peggy and Samson away from him, essentially.
It didn't feel as high stakes is the wrong word. I don't want to say high stakes because there are obviously high stakes in that situation too. But the chamber felt very much like we need to figure this out right now. And then Adrift was like almost like a slow burn. Both fantastic, just so different.
You're right. The chamber is like there's a ticking clock on the wall. There's there's the depressurization, and yeah, it's absolutely like a Hitchcock device. Whereas Adrift, it's much more like a real family. It's very real to me. I grew up a little bit like that, in that kind of family dynamic. So it felt very real. And to me, that felt more high stakes, weirdly. And I get letters about the chamber, but I get a lot more about Adrift, like handwritten letters saying I was Peggy or I was Samson growing up. It's interesting seeing the different reactions to different books. Yeah.
Yeah, it's literally like the ticking clock. But you're right. As far as like actual stakes, Adrift was a lot heavier. And maybe that's because it did feel more real. It felt like, you know, I'm probably not going to find myself stuck in a chamber in the bottom of the ocean anytime soon, right?
For sure. Yeah.
I mean, maybe, who knows where life will take me. So once you have these ideas, and I'm fascinated where authors are hit by inspiration. Going to sleep, I'm glad that you are thinking about things that you could write about rather than, you know, something weird you might have said 10 years ago. Because that's what I think about when I fall asleep.
Yeah.
So I'm glad there's something productive coming.
I think I don't even think about a book. I just see a picture.
Yeah.
That's a strange thing. And I see just like normally a person in a situation, and I'm just really curious, like, how are they doing? Are they going to be okay? What happened to them today? And then that just kind of composts and grows in my head over about 6 months to the point where I haven't written any notes down, but I can see the whole novel. And I know, like with Adrift, I know what that boat looks like. I know what the chamber felt like. I know what the ship feels like in the last one. I just know all the details, and I can smell it and I can feel it, and then I'm ready to write it.
That's great segue. So you have it, right? It is pictured. Do you outline when it's time to actually sit down and write it, or do you just go for it?
I mean, not very well. You know, I don't recommend this to anybody, this situation. People are either often plotters or pantsers. So they're either writing down a really meticulous plot on a spreadsheet and they know every beat, or they're a pantser and they just start off with a line and they just go with it. And I admire both, but no, I'm kind of in the middle. I'm like, I know the story. I know how a story feels. I have no idea about like plot points and twists until they happen. So the books always surprise me as I write them. But I need to know the emotions. You know, I need to understand that family dynamic. I need to understand, like in The Last Thing to Burn, I need to understand that she can't leave and she's desperate to leave. And I need to understand those stakes and a little more about her before I can write her.
The author processes, it fascinates me so much. I could never. As far as your characters go, how do you name them?
I bet you could, by the way, just to interrupt. I'm sure you could. You're probably just smart not to try, but you definitely could.
Yeah, I don't even know if I want to start. I mean, at this point, it would just be like a remix of all the books I've ever read.
That's kind of the same for all of us, I would say, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, like at this point, how do you come up with the names for your characters?
So
do those come fully formed too?
No, I wish things came fully. No, it's like the characters' names are so important. I don't really know the character, that especially the protagonist or the main character and one other, the antagonist. I have their names very early on, and I need their names. It's so important to me, the sound of their names and the way they say each other's names. So that comes very early in the process. Like maybe 3 months after or 2 months after I'm thinking about it. It'll just lock in on the name. But the small characters' names, I'll write them and I'll be really confident about it, and then I'll finish and I'll read. I normally put the book away for about 2 or 3 months, and then I'll read it, and I'll find out that like there's James, John, Jonathan, Jane. They all sound the same because they're just kind of placeholders. I don't know their names, and then I can put the effort in to actually give them real interesting names that suit their characters. But the protagonist, I have to have their name before I start. Let me give you a little insider information as well. I was
Yeah.
obsessed when I was growing up with the movie Alien.
Okay.
This idea of being so isolated with a villain out in space and Ellen Ripley. So if you read the last one, the main character is Kaz Ripley, inspired by her. And then if you read The Chamber, the main character is Ellen Brooke. So they're both kind of connected to Ellen Ripley there. That's my homage to her.
What is the biggest compliment that a reader can give you? Because you've gotten some compliments in the chat, by the way.
Well, thank you. Thank you, everyone. I think it's just when I meet a lot of readers at events and on tour, and readers reach out to me in DMs and in letters and notes, and it's just when they really connect with the character and they are invested in that character, they feel very real to them, and they care so much that they write me a note. That's just wonderful, That's just wonderful. It's such a compliment, and I really appreciate it because that's someone that I care about. That character is someone I really care about. I can't write a book about characters I don't care about personally. They have to really mean something to me. And so when that connects with a reader and they let me know, that's the best thing in the world. Yeah.
Part of your heart and soul went out into the world. It's nice to know that they're appreciated. So you mentioned earlier that you didn't know anything about deep sea diving. Would you mind letting us know some of your Google searches that like maybe wouldn't hold up out of context?
I mean, I think it's the same for all of my author friends. Like, yeah, it's especially after 10, 12, 15 books, it's just, I can't even imagine what would be in there. But on the other hand, I'm quite old fashioned. So I Google stuff, but mainly I order a lot of research books.
I
like
love
books.
that.
Yeah, and also maps and schematics and blueprints and diagrams and nonfiction. And then I cut out a lot of the pages with a razor blade, and I'll just wallpaper one wall of my office with all of it.
That's so
And that
cool.
way, and I started doing that in COVID because I couldn't travel to research, and I have this wall of like images and atmosphere and technical schematics, and then I just kind of stand in front of it and try and absorb it before I write each scene.
Every time we go to the used bookstore, my husband buys a like survival guide book of some sort. I think he's convinced that we're about to have an apocalypse. But if we do, we're set. That's really cool that you research the old-fashioned way.
Because my books aren't very violent, weirdly.
No,
Like it's mainly, I'm not that interested in the violence. I'm more interested in the consequences of the violence and the ripples in the pool. So not really. A lot of my author friends are by this point like experts in police procedure, in forensics. I avoid all that stuff because I'm going to get it wrong, frankly. And what I really care about is just like realistic people like you and me who are just in an extraordinary situation. That's what I love. That's what I grew up reading with Stephen King when I was like 10, 11 years old. So I mentioned I grew up in a house with no books, no readers, but my mum would take me to the local library, which was a truck, and I would take as many books as I could, and she didn't know that I was reading Stephen King. She didn't know what it was, so I got away with it, and it was so thrilling to read that too young. And I'm still there. I just want to read about like normal people.
I feel that. I actually just picked up Mr. Mercedes the other day, which I can't believe I haven't read it. There's something weirdly thrilling about reading about people. Your characters are normal people in situations where you're like, oh, that's not great. But it makes it really easy for the reader to put themselves in those characters' shoes. How would I react? How would I handle this? What would I do differently? But would I do the same? That's why I have a connection to your books. I mean, they're real.
Yeah. A question saying, any thoughts on
Yep.
Russian literature?
Yep.
I haven't read much Russian literature, to be honest, but I am a fan of Dostoevsky, so I've read some of his books. And I like, because I live in Sweden, it's dark and it's northern, and it's like people are very, um, like if the winters are so cold and dark here, that it's kind of like Alaska North. So I do feel some kind of connection with that kind of literature. Same with like Polish and Finnish. It's this kind of, you kind of almost have to live in that environment for a while to understand the darkness and the cold and the isolation and the way people just close up for months. So from what I've read, I've enjoyed.
How long did it take you to write Adrift?
6 years. So terrible, really. You know, a lot of smart authors that write a book a year or 2 books a year. My books, especially an emotional book like Adrift, it takes me a long time to get from the idea through to the first draft. Only takes 3 or 4 weeks, which is also quite weird behavior. 3 or 4 weeks and it's done. But then it takes me years to rewrite because I want to get the voices right. I want to do the characters justice. So I rewrite and rewrite and rewrite far more than is like commercially advisable. But I don't really care. I live in the woods. Like, what else am I going to do out here? So I like to just make sure I get the characters right. And then if a book takes 2 or 3 years or 5 or 6, doesn't really matter to me. I'm not in a hurry. I'm going to be writing until I'm 90. So it takes as long as it takes.
So you say 6 years, but obviously a bunch of books have come out in that time frame. Are you hopping from book to book then also?
I wouldn't say hopping. I write a first draft every year.
Yep.
And then I never know if that's going to be my 2029 book or my 2032 book. Some books take 2 or 3 years, some take 5 or 6. So yeah, Last Thing to Burn took 5. I think The Chamber took 2. So it just depends on the book and how much I'm touring and things like that. But I tend to write a first draft in 3 weeks, and then I'll like go on a tour, and then I'll come back, and then I'll work on the edits or the rewrites for the book I wrote 2 years before, and then I'll put that away after 3 months because I work 7 days a week, so I'm kind of exhausted and sick of my own writing. And then I'll put it away for a week, and I'll go off to a festival in Hong Kong, and then I'll come back, and then I'll work on the book that I wrote the first draft of the year before, things like that. So I kind of write in 3 month chunks through the year.
For someone who hasn't read your works before, if there's a certain book they would start with, that kind of goes with my question of like, if someone could only read one of your books, which one would you choose? So you can answer one of those or both of those or your own version of
It's
that
difficult
question.
because my books are so different, so it's kind of hard.
Yeah.
It depends what you're into. But I think if you like a domestic, extremely like bleak and emotional book, The Last Thing to Burn or Adrift, like they feel like you're sitting there in that family and there's a very terrible villain in a very cold everyday way and you're rooting for the other characters. So they're like heartbreaking and very tense, I think. The Chamber's tense in a different way. It's like you said, it's like a ticking clock. It's like there's a virtual clock on the wall. It's like a ticking time bomb, and we have to kind of solve the puzzle before the pressure runs out. And then the last one is a wild roller coaster of a book. I can sum it up in a few words. It's kind of my high concept novel. It's a book about a woman and her boyfriend who go on a ocean liner, go on a cruise across the Atlantic, and they have a great first night. They're dancing, they go to restaurants. She wakes up the next morning, he's not by her side. She goes onto the balcony, he's not there. She goes into the corridor, she's not there, and all the other cabin doors are lodged open. She starts walking around the ship, and she realizes they're steaming into the mid-Atlantic, and she's the only person left on board.
So good. It was
So
so good.
that was a fun book to write. Yeah. The weirdest thing, when people send me photos of them or their family and they're reading it on a cruise ship, I'm like, how are you that brave?
No, thank you.
Terrify me. If you're out in the middle of the ocean reading that, and it's like, especially if you're out there in the evening and there's like not many people around, I don't think I could do it.
I remember listening. I think I did both. I like listened to the last one, but I also was physically reading it when I wasn't like driving. And I distinctly remember I was laying in bed when I got to the part she woke up and she was alone. And I turned to my husband and I was just like, here are the options. And he thought I was absolutely nuts. And also none of my hypotheses were true. So
I'm glad. That's good. I'm happy to hear that.
yeah, I mean, at this point, it's hard to get me with a twist, because I feel like I've read them all at this point. So when something like that happens, that's a standout for me.
I think that twist worked, or there's multiple twists in that book. I think they worked
Well,
because
yeah,
I didn't see them coming either. Like I didn't really plot it out. I saw some things in my mind's eye, some key scenes like the challenges and things I saw, but I
yeah.
didn't see a lot of it. So almost every scene was like, oh, this is happening now. I didn't really know. So it was very fun to write.
Here we are.
Yeah.
So you get the twists along the way also. That's awesome.
Not always, but most of the time, yeah.
You're out in the wilderness. From what I've seen, it's absolutely gorgeous. Is there anything that stifles your writing? Like, are there any blockers that you face when you actually sit down to write, and then how do you overcome those?
No, I mean, this week my well dried up, which isn't fun, and
Yeah.
it'll be back in a few days when it'll be fine. But no, when I'm writing a first draft, which I'm not doing right now, as I said, it's 3 weeks of the year, 3 or 4 weeks, and I'm just not thinking about anything else. So nothing gets in my way. I'm barely mentally there. I'm like, I wash the dishes and I pick up my son from his school, but I'm not there. I'm thinking about the next scene all the time. I'm just in the book. The only thing that kicks me out sometimes is when it's really a really emotional scene, like about Samson and adrift, or it's I need a break after that, just to kind
Yep.
of compose myself. But apart from that, no, I'm so in the book. I feel like when I start writing on a blank page on a laptop, I feel like a kid walking through the coats in the wardrobe, stepping into Narnia. That's how I feel. Like whole new world. Anything could happen. I don't know what's going to happen. Let's see what happens. So it's exciting for me.
When you're not writing, what are you doing?
I mean, I'm a husband and a dad and a friend and a forest guy, so I have to chop a lot of wood to get us through the winter. And there's
Yeah.
nobody helping us here. We don't have any help, so I have to process a lot of timber and stack it to season it to make sure if the winter's really tough here in Sweden, then we'll be okay. So that takes a lot of time. That's good audiobook time. And we grow a lot
Yeah.
of food, and I have to walk my massive dog. So it's just like, and also I like to read and just to think, and I like a quiet life when I'm here in the woods.
What speed do you listen to your audiobooks on?
That's a good question. So I'm like everybody else. Like there's a temptation to put it on double speed or triple speed because you can, and then I have to force myself to slow down, especially if it's a really great book, because it's like rushing a meal and just eating it all in one go. You can do it, but if it's good food, it's nice to slow down and actually savor it. So with a writer like S.A. Cosby or like Chris Whitaker or like Liz Nugent, I like to slow down and just maybe 1.2, 1.3, nothing really faster than that. And like make a conscious effort to actually take in the language and just kind of not rush it.
What was the last book you listened to?
Uh, I'm doing this through my phone, so I can't really see. I can't remember. I read like 5 or 6 books at a time. But
Yeah.
I know what it is. It's a research book, and it's for the book that I'm writing this autumn. In like a month, I'll start writing it, and it's probably my 2029 book.
Okay.
And the research book is about train hopping.
Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that there would be a research book about train hopping, so that's awesome.
I've got like six. I've got six, I think, and yeah, and then like photographic books and stuff as well.
I'm going to start picking up weird nonfiction books to just learn about things. I'll go down to my husband's bookshelves and just like, let me read about raising chickens. Maybe I need to expand my horizons a little bit. If you could go back and change anything in any of your books, is there anything that you would change?
No, because you know, there's things I would improve now, but I'm a different writer than I was then, a different
Right.
person. So they're kind of snapshots in time of who I was then. And I think it's like saying, you know, would I change the book that I'm writing now or I'm about to write, and looking back when I'm 90 and saying, well, no, I mean, it's just that's who I am at that moment. And hopefully I will evolve as a writer and improve. Like, I'm so impressed with Cormac McCarthy, how he improved, because he had such critical success at the beginning of his career, and it never went to his head. Like, he just hid away in the Santa Fe Institute in New Mexico around like academics and scientists, and he just sat there and he didn't really give any interviews or do any publicity or events at all. He just sat there and just tried to write better, and you can see the curve of his writing all the way through his life just getting better and better, and I kind of admire that.
I mean, it's hard to see that progression. I am very just, I immerse myself in your stories. So I don't even know if it'd be fair to even compare the writing in one of your books to another, because they require a different style of writing to get the story across.
That's very true. That's very, very true. Yeah, and you know, I guess it's something for different readers. You know, some readers prefer one book, some readers prefer another book, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, and they are very different. I latch on to authors because if I like one of your books, even if you switch genres, if your writing stuck with me, I know that I'm going to like it regardless of the form that it's in. Definitely weren't the same at all. I'm here for the story. So
I'm the same as a I'm the same as a reader. If I really like the writing of an author, I don't really mind what they're writing about. Like, I trust them to lead me through the story, and I just want to read everything they've ever written. And I normally find a new author like that only every like 3 years, who I'm
yeah,
just, yeah, fall in love with their writing. Yeah.
you're that for me. I trust you um, with my brain and my heart. So adrift, you broke it a little bit, put it back together, we're fine. I know, like, as soon as I started binging your work, that like it doesn't matter what you write. I already know that I'm going to enjoy myself in the story. So thank you for what you
Well,
do.
thank you. And I do kind of take that trust seriously. Like, with Adrift, can I just show you the cover? Because it's so beautiful.
Yeah,
I love this cover so much.
I love it.
Yeah. I knew that it would be really, really difficult in places and really heartbreaking. So I really wanted to balance that out with humor and with like beautiful, gentle moments between Samson and Phoenix or Mr. Turner or these various different side characters. I needed that. And I needed always to have hope, for them to have hope. That was really important to me. So when you go really, really dark, I think you need to judge how to have those moments of light as well.
There were some really, really tough spots that it was a tough book. But it was well worth it. And I'm sure you've gotten that feedback already. How do you feel about doing some rapid fire stuff?
Mm, let's do it.
What is your favorite color?
Green. It's
Yeah.
green, so that's why I love this cover, and that's why I live in the woods. I feel very safe around millions of trees. I just find it very soothing to be around nature. Like yesterday, I saw a snake. We've got moose. We've got wolves. We've got wild boar, and I don't find any of that scary at all. Put me in a city, that's a different thing. A big, like, as soon as I get to New York for an event, I just go straight to Central Park and just like cling onto a tree. You'll find me hanging onto a tree. So yeah, green.
Coffee or tea or neither?
Both.
Okay.
I think Sweden is one of the highest per capita like coffee drinkers in the world, coffee drinking countries in the world. We are the number one when it comes to moose population density per square mile. We have the most moose. It's not a big brag. And yeah, I like tea and coffee. I just need to like fuel myself throughout the day. Lots of tea, lots of coffee. Yeah.
Are moose actually like as big as, I don't know, the world
Yeah,
makes them out to be?
they're bigger, I think. And I'm a
It's,
Brit. Like, there's nothing bigger in England than like a badger or a deer. There's nothing. It's not exciting. It's not an exciting country wildlife wise. We killed everything 500 years ago. But so when I see a moose now, even now, I've been here 17 years now in the forest, 15 years, something like that. I see a moose like by my truck, and I'm just in awe. They are enormous and so wild and so unafraid of us. It's yeah, it takes my breath away. I feel like I'm on a safari or something.
I mean, you're in their world there.
Yeah,
Like,
100%. Yeah. I kind of feel like this might be complete nonsense, but I feel like because we live here, we've never harmed anything. We don't use any chemicals here. It's like we're just trying to be custodians of this little patch of land for as long as we're
yeah.
here for. I feel like they kind of ignore us now. They just kind of think that we're some, eccentric English guy living there, and they just kind of wander through. They know we're not going to hurt them, and I love that balance. It's nice.
It's almost how you would think maybe we were supposed to live in the first place. I don't know. I'm down for less people and smog. Maybe one day. When you do you write in silence or do you need to have music on?
No, I write with earplugs in, with the blinds pulled, just my screen, just very like in the story.
Bookstore or library?
I would say both. They're both super important to me. Indie bookshops, I love them so much, and those booksellers are so knowledgeable. And obviously, I don't have any here, so when I do travel and I go to them, I really make the most of it. And then libraries, I wouldn't be a writer if it wasn't for libraries and librarians. So I've dedicated like books to librarians because I wouldn't be here without them. So maybe libraries for me take the edge, but both so important.
Do you have a favorite author?
It's difficult to say.
I know.
I have
I
favorite
wouldn't be able to answer
books.
that.
Yeah, no, I think my favorite book is The Road by Cormac McCarthy.
Okay.
Just that beautiful relationship between father and son and how they look out for each other and how it's so stripped back and lean. And I find that quite amazing. But I also love Sarah Waters. I'm a big fan of Gillian Flynn. I really want her
Yes.
to write another book. I think she's a great writer, and not just like the twists, but also just the writing. The language is great. Yeah, and S.A. Cosby. I like Ruth Ware's books very much. Like so many different writers. Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't be able to narrow it down either. I think I did a post of like, my auto buy authors or something like that. And I narrowed it down to 21.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
Like I can't like, don't ask me who my favorite author is. I don't know. I'll like freeze and name someone that I haven't read in 6 years. So,
I also have this thing that I love going back and I reread a lot, and I love going back and reading old books. Like I read things like Shirley Jackson a lot, and Patricia Highsmith, and Muriel Spark, and Graham Greene, and I get so much from those old books in terms of style because they're just slightly different to the modern bestsellers. And I think as a writer, you can learn a lot from getting outside of your genre and getting outside of your geography and getting outside of your period as well.
I do a lot of like thrift store and like used bookstores, and obviously they've got all the, I mean, if you walk in and it's wall to wall James Patterson, right? But I really like to find books that are pre-internet, pre-cell phone, are like these days with the thrillers, like, you have to be on a cruise ship or at the bottom of the ocean or in the middle of a storm you need to find a way to like cut cell signal to make a story work these days,
That's so true.
And
That's very, very true. And I always feel like when I dream, and when most of us dream, we never dream of using a phone. That's not doesn't exist in our dreams. And when I come up with a book, it's similar to a daydream. So my next book is set in in 60 years from now and in the 90s. The book after that is set in the 90s. The book after that is set 70s to 90s. So it's like I don't want to write about 2026 particularly. Yeah.
I don't know. I just feel like they're almost more creative about how they handle
I have the same thing when I watch a TV show or a movie. If there's got like flip phones or before, I instantly kind of relax. I'm instantly like, this is nice. This is good. I
the
don't know.
nostalgia.
They're also not so high definition, which I also really like.
Yeah. Go to pizza order.
I wish.
Have to ask.
I wish. I mean, if somebody tried to deliver a pizza here, it would look like the beginning scene of a horror movie. Like some guy on a bike just riding into deep dark forest. You know, I wouldn't want to put anyone through that, and the pizza would be so cold. It would take hours to get here. So no, uh, I have to make them myself. But if I was like on tour or something and I wanted a pizza, something like spicy beef, is that even a flavor of pizza? Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, probably like spicy sausage, maybe.
Yeah, that'll do. That'll be good. Yeah.
Okay.
It's like, because we lived in London before, it took us a good 2 years to get over not having takeout food or takeout coffee or anything like that, or not having anything. It took us 2 years really to figure it out.
I can't even imagine. So now I'm just going to ask you like questions about where you live because I am jealous and I'm living vicariously through you. Um, what is the closest like thing to you
It's
where
not
there
that
would be
far
more
away.
humans? Okay.
So it looks when you see our land from above, especially, it looks like Alaska horror movie. But actually, I drive to my son's school in about 30 minutes,
Okay.
and I drive to the local store. Is one. It's not great in about 35 minutes, and then yeah, so it's not that far away from things.
That's 35 minutes to the store. Maybe it's not a lot for you, but like for a lot of us, like I could probably walk to a store.
Well, it depends on the weather and the season. Like because the first 10 or 15 minutes is off road. So through our forest, it's not really a road. It's just like a forester's track. So
Path.
it's up and
Yeah.
down, bumping around trees. So if there's a lot of snow, that takes longer. And yeah, it's fun. I love it.
I feel like I would like it for 3 days and then not be able to do it anymore. How do you have such good internet there?
Well, this is the thing with Sweden. You know, I pay 61% income tax. Sweden is a very high tax country, but the infrastructure is amazing. The schools are
Yeah.
all free. Like you can't pay to put your kid in a school. The medicine is all free. Nobody pays for it. So it takes away all of that stuff, all of that like us and them, or all that anxiety is gone. You have to pay high taxes. It took me a while to get used to that. Honestly, it took me a long time, but then it kind of works here. Like you get something back from it. I think if you didn't get something back from it and the government was like a bit corrupt, you just wouldn't have it. You wouldn't deal with it. But here it seems to work. Maybe it's because it's a small country. I don't know, but it seems to work really well. Like when I would go to a hospital on a Friday night in the UK, it's just like a war zone. It's overwhelmed. Like the
Yeah.
ER is overwhelming, and everyone looks so. It's just horrifying to see on an emotional level. You go in here on a Friday night, and it's just quiet. You know, the nurses and the doctors, they just come back off vacation. They relaxed. There's plenty of capacity. There's no waiting. I mean, I'm sure it's not always that good, but the times I've seen it, it's just been like, I don't understand this. I've never seen anything like this before. So I pay a lot of tax, and the internet's great, even in the
Yeah.
woods.
I mean, what more could you ask for?
Yeah.
And there's moose walking through
Mhm.
your land.
Lots of moose. Yeah.
Pretty sweet deal. Well, thank you so much for coming to hang out with me. This was the coolest thing. Shameless plug, like you're an amazing author, but you're also just top-notch human. And I want to let you know that like readers are seeing you engage, and that makes us like you that much more.
Oh, that's
It's
that's lovely to hear. Thank you for saying that.
it never gets old, having an author that you respect engage with your content. It means everything. And I was an itty bitty baby bookstagrammer being like, hey, let me take a picture of this book that's playing in my car and see if the internet will like it. And so for you to come out and just be like, thanks so much, like that made my life. And early experiences like that have gotten me to where I am right now. And so thank you for being you, and thank you for the stories.
Well, likewise, thank you so much. You know, you and the other bookstagrammers and book talkers, you guys are amazing. Like it's a lot of work. You know, it's a lot of reading sometimes. It must be some pressure if you've got a huge TBR pile and it's not easy like posting all the time. So we really appreciate you spreading the word on books that you enjoy. I think in the olden days, like big newspaper reviews were the most important thing, and now I kind of think it's you guys, because it's just like it's a genuine thing. You read the book and you react to it. So we really appreciate you.
Well, enjoy the rest of your day, and I hope that you see a moose.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.